Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And that's why we're honored to be with Laura Hickman, co-founder and director of strategic growth at Flint Global Partners. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. Thank you for having me.
This starts, especially on your end being a co-founder, with a little bit of your background and your passion for helping orphans, but also education too. So give us a little bit of your background and let's tie that to some history for Flint Global Partners.
So I think if I go way back, I grew up with a mom who was actually the director of a nonprofit, and she was tackling a huge problem in our community, which was teenage pregnancy. And it was a big issue, complex, but she found the place where she could move the needle. And she was able to make progress in a space where a lot of other people kind of gave up. And I didn't know it then, but I think foundationally that impacted my view of how I see the world and the difference that can be made. So fast forward, I have a background in teaching kids with emotional and behavioral disorders, also super complex. Basically, nobody cared what I did with them as long as they stayed out of trouble during the school day. And I learned that through relationship, through a few specific tools, those kids would go from literally setting fire to the school to actually believing that they had a path to the future and making a change. And then my other background is organization development. So I started working with at-risk youth in other countries, helping them transition out of orphan homes, government care systems, was doing that with some people who were simultaneously working to help people move out of poverty through entrepreneurship, through better farming methods, because a lot of people have access to land, and through helping people find a way to, if they don't have access to banks, to save their money, and also have a security fund, like an insurance system. So we started making our tools move together holistically and saw that it was working. We were actually making a dent in the problem, and people were actually moving out of poverty. So that was the start of Flint Global, and we founded it about 5 years ago, at the very beginning of the pandemic, April of 2020, which is when everyone wants to start a new organization.
Well, especially a global organization too at that. So how do you frame the work you do? Because you work in other countries, you mentioned entrepreneurship, education. There's a lot to unpack that we'll start to unpack, but how do you frame holistically the work you all do?
Yeah, so we exist at Flint Global because we care about the poorest people on the planet. And we have training and tools. We're a training and coaching organization that we have learned that help people move systematically out of poverty. And those paths out of poverty are through finding a job or creating a job. So in a lot of places, there aren't jobs to get, but you can actually, through entrepreneurship, start a business and earn some income.
Talk about where it starts, because you have team members in those areas, so working locally. And when you talk about finding a job, creating jobs, there's a lot to this. It sounds, easy on one side, but it's like, obviously, as you know, there's a lot that goes into that. So talk about the process and how it works.
Yeah, thank you. There is a lot that goes into it, but I think most simply, we can break it down into an understanding that change happens within community. And so local leaders are much better problem solvers for their own problems than anyone 5,000 miles away, 7,000 miles away ever can be. So a major portion of the success of our work depends on those local leaders who have the skills and the ability to coach in their communities. So there are trainers, and we train and we address gaps in three major areas. So the first one is mindset, which was a big learning for me starting out. I know about mindset. It's basically for anyone who's not familiar, mindset is how you view the world, how you view your relationship with others around you, how you view your resources, and what you even think is possible. And the learning for me when I first started out is that piece must be present. You must actually believe that it's possible to have change before any of the other tools and skills are going to be helpful at all. So the first thing we do is that foundational work of what do you think is possible? What resources do you have? And then we're addressing gaps in skills. So that can look like it can look like a lot of different things, but often it is foundational business skills. Someone has access to land and can farm, then it might be better farming methods. It might be for our youth coming out of orphan homes. How do you get a job? How do you interview for a job? Once you go in and get that job, how do you act on the job? Even things like just showing up on time is that's a skill that we hopefully teach our kids, but it's not necessarily taught to kids coming out of government care systems. So mindset, skills, and then access is the last piece. So if you're a farmer and you have a crop and you need to get it to market and sell it at the best price, how do you do that? If you are a student looking for a job and you don't have Uncle Bob at the auto repair shop down the street to ask and say, hey, Uncle Bob, I need a job. Do you have anything? What we do is we help form those connections with businesses, really to present those students as a trained asset because they've been through our program. They're actually trained to be a good employee. They're not a pity case. And our ask is, hey, business owner, when you have a job opening, not will you give this kid a job? It's will you just offer this kid the opportunity to interview and prove themselves, which is an opportunity most of those students don't have.
Touch on the different countries where you serve.
Okay. So we actually work here locally in Nashville, which I'm super excited about. We started that work about a year and a half ago, working with at-risk youth and helping them build those life skills, independent living skills, and job skills, and connect to businesses. And that's going super well. I'm really excited about that. And we have plans to expand into the entrepreneurship space for people who don't have the skills to access. We have a wonderful entrepreneurship center here in Nashville, but it is more for mid to high level businesses, people with maybe a higher level of education and experience. So those ground level entrepreneurs. So we're here in Nashville. We are in Latin America. We are in East Africa and West Africa, and also Asia. So all in all, I think we are currently in 12 countries.
In each of these places, the need is different, right? And so while there are some parallels in taking best practices around mindset and, stepping in, each area is a little different in terms of what they need. So talk about how you're able to customize, take some benchmarking and best practices and applications that are, truly global, but then how do you customize and make sure that locally they're equipped and empowered with the things that they need to deal with those very specific circumstances?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is where that local leadership piece is so crucial. So we have these tools that have been tested all over the world, and now even in Nashville, and we know that those basic concepts work. But those local leaders, they know their community, and we lean heavily on them to say, "Hey, that's a great idea, but that's actually not how that works here. What about this?" So that local leadership is really important for contextualizing. Also, we have team members who have lived in a lot of the places where we work. So even our U.S. team has a lot of experience in Tanzania and Kenya, Latin America. So it's one step closer to filling that gap, that cultural gap that often happens. So often even our U.S. team members who are working internationally, they have some experience to help with that.
Touch on, in a little deeper context, the work in Nashville and Middle Tennessee. So, touch on kind of what that's looking like. How's it going? So give us a little more detail locally.
Yeah, thanks. We started a year and a half ago working with a partner organization called Harvest Hands. It's a community development center that has been it's been around for maybe 15, 20 years, and they do great work. And they actually have a program for employing their students. They have a coffee shop, and it's great coffee. I could advertise for that. It's actually what made me a coffee drinker myself. So they have an employment program, kind of a first employment program for their kids, but they are growing rapidly across Nashville and can no longer employ all of their own students. So they're looking for pathways for either second jobs for those kids, which can be a leap outside of their coffee shop, or even a first job for kids who they can't employ internally and give them that practice. So we're working on that piece, but also learning that these students need the same life skills, independent living skills. I have found in teaching this and in working with the curriculum that there are even gaps with my own kids of things that, oh, I forgot to teach you about that part of budgeting. I never mentioned that. Well, these kids who are at risk, maybe their parents are working constantly, they may have even less exposure to some of those independent living skills. So we're teaching that explicitly and those job skills. So we've been doing that about a year and a half. Those kids are flourishing. They're doing great. Some of them have found jobs outside of the program. And then we just started last summer with an organization called JDEC. It's Judge Dinkins Educational Youth Center. And so it's kids who have been involved in the justice system, but have been recommended by their parole officer or someone else to attend this program. JDEC students are working towards a certificate for construction because that's a need in the Nashville market where we have a lot of construction. So employers are looking for hires, and it's a job that pays really well. So that's what those kids are working towards, and they need the same thing. Even once they have that certificate that says they have some skills, they actually need to know how to be a good employee. They're going out on their own, and they need to know how to go find an apartment and how do you budget for that. So we're doing same life skills training and job skills training. And we're about to graduate another class of those kids. It's a small program, but those kids need to get the numbers. But I think most of them have jobs lined up, have jobs currently, or have a next step path, like they're going into the military, but a positive path coming out of that program.
Yeah, that's awesome. Carry that into how can the community help support Flint Global Partners?
There are a lot of ways. We, in the same way that we believe that transformation happens in community, we are only able to do that through this community. So we need, of course, a community of advocates and donors. We are largely funded by just individual donors. And it doesn't have to be very much. $100 can help someone start a business and change their entire family's trajectory sustainably, and help them move out of poverty. So it's a very small amount that's required. So definitely donations, people who are just getting the word out and telling their friends, talking to someone else who might be interested. Locally in Nashville, for any listeners in Nashville, we would love to have some entrepreneurs who are willing to speak to our students. We would be very interested in, if anyone has a business and they are looking for some new hires, connect with us. Give me a call. I'd be happy to talk with you and make some connections about what that might look like. We have a social impact organization. So basically, it's a jewelry business in Nairobi, Kenya. So this jewelry is made by Kenyans. It provides employment. And then the proceeds provide entrepreneurship training for more women so that they can move out of poverty. So you just purchasing some beautiful jewelry is a great next step. And then we have events. We have a spring event, a fall event. We love to have people come participate. And in the spring, it's been a relay where you can do any activity for an hour. We would say move with the movers, because we're moving with people who are working hard to get out of poverty. And so you can do water polo for an hour if that's what you like to do with your friends, and raise money to actually provide training that makes a real difference for a real human.
We'll wrap up with website, social media. Where do we go to learn more and get involved with Flint Global Partners?
Sure. We are on all the social media channels. You can go to our website at www.flintglobal.org. And then we are at either hashtag Flint Global or at Flint Global. And you can contact me. You can find my contact information on the website. And I would be happy to talk with anyone who has interest, ideas, excitement around any of this.
Well, once again, the website, flintglobal.org. Laura, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate what you do to get the word out.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.